We'll often talk about sex addiction as being an intimacy disorder. What's at the core of this? The sex addict wants to feel intimate and connected with another person. And so if you ask them, what's your value? My value is intimacy and connection. At the same time, they're using sex in a way to give them that false sense of connection in a way that doesn't overwhelm and scare them. So what's their professed value is intimacy and connection. What's their acted out value? Their acted out value is, regulation. It's, escape. It's avoidance of pain. I don't know that those are values, but I mean, that's sort of the concept behind it.
Yeah, it's so interesting because I'm thinking, Dan, what you had said, that they really want to be connected, but then something prevents them from doing that. And so, can we say that with connection, there's a lot of neurotransmitters that are dumping in the brain to feel good, dopamine being one of them. So, if dopamine's dumping when we're feeling connected, and yet when the idea of being connected is happening, or a partner approaches to be in that yummy place and fear pops up from the past, why then would you want to pursue that? It would make sense then that you would go to porn or, another sexual act that is going to dump dopamine pure and clear without any fear. Am I on the right track here?
It feels, safer, quote unquote, than the human connection, which can be threatening and dangerous.
And yet I can hear partners saying, what are you talking about? I'm the safest person, right? I'm giving, I'm loving, I'm understanding. Why would fear jump up for, him or her when I'm trying to get close? And then, we say we want to go back to childhood and we want to see what happened there and what kind of wounding or trauma happened. And I think the partner will say, yeah, but I'm not that person. Why can't he or she distinguish that I'm different? I'm not that person. And so we
Which is
get,
a good question. Like, that's a
Mhm.
huge question. And that is so true.
yeah, why can't they distinguish? And I think, when addicts get more into recovery, they get confronted with this as well. It's, I really want to connect. And, all she or he needs to do is say something or look at me a certain way, and I'm activated.
You're thinking, Tim.
I
Yeah.
am. So I'm going to this idea of sometimes I've heard some people say they don't have values because they just sort of do whatever they want. And I don't know that's true that active sex addicts don't have values. Their values have just been shaped by their trauma and their fears and their experiences of the past. And they're unaware of the long-term consequences of that. I think about it, a person that I know who is later in life at this point, and their primary values, because of the household that they grew up in, are like independence. I'm going to do it on my own. I need to take care of myself primarily. And if I take care of myself, things are going to work out. And so you look at how this person has moved through life. And if you understand those values that are based on the trauma of their childhood, it makes sense. However, they have family members that are dependent on them. They have a spouse that's younger than them. And they also, along with those values, made a decision about, pension plan that's going to end when they die, rather than having a pension plan that pays them a little bit less but goes through when their partner passes away. That they don't go to the doctor because they don't trust other people, and I'm going to do it on my own. And so now there's a diagnosis coming up. And so there's these pieces where those values made sense given their trauma, and those values worked for them in the short term. But now they're bumping up against stuff in the long term that it's creating issues and problems for them and for other people.
Right.
And I think that is often true for addicts as well. You've got this trauma that sort of says connection isn't safe, so I value independence. I may say that I value connection, but my actions say I value independence. I may say I want to be tolerant, but really my value is, feel good or whatever that is. And all of those values that the addicts are holding on to in the short term, they work in the short term. That's not the problem. The problem is that they're based on trauma, and because they're based on trauma, they're based on immediate impact. And the immediate impact, as we all know, of addiction is that they escape and they feel relief and they aren't overwhelmed by whatever it is, but it sets them up for long-term problems.